Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Hello, I'm Jessica McElveen, child behavior and family dynamics specialist and practitioner. So let's chat teens, 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 teens. What on earth? What on earth happens in these brains and these bodies? So I want to unpack a couple of fun facts with you that absolutely make all the difference if you're a parent of a teen. Even if you are an auntie or an uncle to a teen, even if you are a teacher to a teen, it does not matter the relationship, but let's chat about how we can get better results during those big firecracker moments with teens. Okay, because there's a few fundamental things going on in the brain that we can work with instead of working against, which usually ends us in the pits. Let's face it, we usually end up in the pits. So, fun fact number one. In our teen years, our brain is doing one hell of a renovation in our brain. So we tend to revert back to, and it's funny because there's this term out there called three-nager. Is it? Yeah, three-nager or three? Yeah, three-nager. And that's essentially what's going on. So the teen brain will revert back to something similar as a 2 and 3 and 4-year-old. And the reason this is happening, a little bit of a brain education moment here. So we've got limbic system, emotions, frontal cortex, analytical thinking, consequences, logic, communication, and language. What happens is in teen years, that goes offline for renovation. This is in high renovation stage. And then we come back to emotions as a teen. So what this means then, parents, educators, friends of teens, nieces and nephews of teens, aunties and uncles rather, we then have to adjust our communication approach to get the best outcome. Because what usually happens is there's this disconnect when teens are teens. So I get a lot of parents saying, I feel really disconnected from my teen. They're not communicating with me. I just get angry. I just get cranky. They don't listen to me. They make these dumb decisions. They don't understand from my perspective. That I've spoken about the consequences, blah, blah, blah. All of it. All of it. So here's what we can do to get really great results with teens. So the two results that often are desired is reconnecting with them, reconnecting and feeling that closeness again with teens. I'm going to tell you the number one way that you can do this. And number two, how to best support them during those big teen explosions or meltdowns. So let's chat about the number one. How do I reconnect with them? This is how. So usually, you know, when teens are going through these teen crises, and, you know, it could be about a love life issue, it could be about a bullying issue, it could be about a school issue, a friendship group issue, whatever it is, it could be about something minor, right? But it feels huge at the time. I remember when I was young, when I was a teenager, I wonder if you remember MSN chat. First time that you got to chat with your friends outside of school. And there was a boy I liked online, and I was chatting away with him, and he told me, he hooked me in. He said there was something really important he wanted to tell me. That's when my mum got home. That's when my mum told me to get off the computer. And I went to my room and I screamed and I cried and I was punching the pillow. And my mum thought there was a serious problem, that something was absolutely world-shakingly wrong. So here's what you can do in those moments to work with the part of the brain that's active during those teen years and what they really need. So first is we turn on the curiosity lens and we turn off the advice giving and the judgment lens. That's all you do. We get curious. We ask questions. We remain calm We know that it's just emotions coming through. We get curious, and we do not give any advice. No advice at all. No judgment. No, I told you so. Well, you should have done it this way. I think you need to do it like this. Did you know that it's going to end up like this? I could have told you that 2 weeks ago. Whatever the advice is or the judgment, delete it. It leads to disconnect. If teenagers feel judged and they feel like there is no understanding from the parents, they will shut down and they will not let you into their world. I bet you've experienced it. I bet you have. Like my mum did. I shut down. I was like, get out, get out. And sometimes when there's this real lack of understanding from parents, it leads to frustration and anger. And that also is unhelpful. So, my mum then got, took it very personal that I wouldn't talk to her and then got cranky and frustrated. But sometimes we just need to wait that time out, provide space for the teen to be able to open up. So get curious. I had a client who just practiced this a couple of months ago with her 13-year-old who she felt completely disconnected from, and just got curious and stopped with any advice. There was no judgment coming through. There was no trying to persuade her to see the world differently. She just got curious, asked questions, tried to dig deeper. And it led to a 2-hour conversation where there was hugs, there was tears, there was sharing, and there was real connection back, because the teen felt like they were understood and seen without any judgment. Because being a teen, it's a whirlwind of emotions that you just don't think anybody will understand. You might remember, like I can. Second, what do you do during those big meltdown moments? Similar to what I would suggest for a 2 and a 3-year-old. And this is not to make fun of teens. This is just because this is where they're coming from in their brain. They're functioning from the emotion center of the brain. And when this happens, we just need to feel it to move through it. So having a parent there that's willing just to sit with us through it, not speak at us. So we reduce language. That's number one. We reduce language. Again, we do not come at them with advice and persuading them to see the world differently. We do not come with judgment. We come with curiosity. So we reduce language because the limbic system cannot handle language. If you remember at the beginning, the language is in this part that's in renovation phase. It's renovating. So constant language and talking at them without just providing silent space and curious space and non-judgmental silence and space will have them escalate. Similarly to a toddler. So we want to reduce language. We want to just get curious, and we don't want to provide any judgment either. They don't need it. They just need to feel it. They need to experience it, because again, similarly to when they were young and when we were young, we're learning how to deal with these big emotions. We're just learning. It's just the training ground of childhood continues into teens. We're learning how to deal with these big emotions. And they just want to be seen and understood by you without the judgment. That's their goal. Save the lessons for later. But when they're in those heightened states, no advice. They're my tricks. They're my tips and tricks that work with the part of the brain that's active. That's what's important. Work with the part of the brain that's active, and that leads to winning outcomes. So give them a go, and I'd be really curious to hear what changes in your household when you start practicing that with your teens. Let me know how you go.